Hi everyone. What I want to show you is before I actually go into the actual aerial filming part of the project, there's a planning that we walk through in terms of what I do, on Google Earth. But sometimes before I actually not sometimes, almost every single time when I go on the site, before I just start flying, I like to take a walkthrough of the entire property, and I found that to be very helpful. So I can understand, what are the, physical limitations, any barriers when it comes to, wires or trees. So as you can see here, this is a pretty good entrance that I want to capture. And, I think it's a bit of a narrow flight, but I think for a small enough drone, I should be able to bring the, drone down to just about this level here, just between the gap, and then kind of fly through. And also because the sun is at a perfect angle, we talked about lens flare. So you can see there's a lens flare coming in, and we should be able to capture that lens flare on the drone and kind of just go in to the ocean and really get those waves coming in. So as I walk in through this path, one of the things that I've noticed right away is that this is definitely an area that I want to make sure that I capture. And so this is going to be probably an entrance part of the overall video. And as you walk into the ocean, now I don't know if you can see this in this video, there's this very small wire on top of this. So as I'm flying this, this is something that, a Google map would not have showed me. And I don't think you can see this, but if you can, that'd be awesome. But really on this pole here, and these two poles, there's a very thin wire, enough to damage a drone and enough for us to make sure that we do a walkthrough before we start to fly right away. And then when I come, just to close off this point, I'll have to make sure that I either fly under this wire or over the wire, but I would have to be very careful. Another thing is, when I go on the actual property itself, now this is the beach. There are a few properties here, but let's say if this was an actual property that I was shooting, I would just do a walkthrough just to make sure that I can understand what are the main features. Now, if this is a beach that I'm capturing, one of the first things I always love to capture is the glare and the reflection of the sun on the water. Those always come out really nice and warm, and they really, make the footage, turn out really awesome. So I'm gonna make sure that, I have multiple different angles of the sun and the reflection. And then you have the beach line. So here, this is in Miami, or close to Miami. So this is just a very straight beach line. So as you can see, there's no disruption. So what I would do is I would probably catch, a few flights, just flying very low to the ocean, and then, the same thing going that way. And then you got these resorts. And so what I would do with the resort is I would somehow try to fly the drone towards the ocean, and then I would do a pan down, coming right back up, exposing the actual building. So this is one of the things that is going to be a key shot in the overall production. And then I would see, I'm seeing from here these trees and line of trees. So I'm going to make sure that I actually capture those as well. Now, because I don't really have a property that I'm shooting here, I'm just speaking out of, let's say, for example, this was just a hobbyist thing that I'm doing, or just practicing my drone flight. This is how I would plan it. And if there was an actual site, then of course, if it's a building, or if it's a commercial place, or if it's an event, then I would really focus on the core features that I wanted to be captured. Here, it's a little hard to explain because really, it's just the open beach. One of the other things that I'm going to try to show you guys in a separate tutorial is going to be an aerial panoramic shot. Now, it's something that I think theoretically is possible. I haven't really attempted it, but because I've done panoramic from my actual cameras, and we've done it from our phones or from SLRs, I should be able to do some sort of a panoramic. So for that, what I've planned, and I hope it comes together, is I'm going to take my drone maybe 50 or 80 meters towards the ocean, and then I'm going to fly high, maybe about 90 meters. And what I want to do is I want to make sure that I capture the full skyline from that building all the way to the left, and maybe ending off at this building here, or maybe on that building. And what I want to do is I want to make sure that I have my drone at one altitude horizontally, and I'm just going to do a horizontal pan. And I want to make sure, because if I get any vertical jerkiness, that could be an issue. So I want to make sure that I just have a horizontal pan, and that way when I go into Photoshop or into Lightroom, I can just take those images and slice them together. So that is something that I'm looking forward to. I hope I can do it. I'm also going to do a 4K footage here as well to illustrate to you guys how you can do a digital zoom without actually having any distortion. So if you're creating a project that's in 1080p, then it's a pretty awesome thing to actually go ahead and shoot in 4K if the camera on your drone allows you to do. And then we'll talk about how we can actually do a zoom in without having any pixelation or distortion. And there's a lot of flexibility that you can get off of that. So I'm gonna go ahead and move away from this water. But you get the point. The biggest thing is you do the planning on Google Map, and then you come to the actual site, and then you do a walkthrough. It's one thing that I love to do, because the reason why people like us in the aerial industry have to do that is because we don't have the luxury of extended battery lives. So you want to make sure that you preserve the battery life by all means possible. And so this is one of the things that will really help you preserve battery life, get the right shots, and really increase profitability into your business to make sure that you don't go around wasting time, because it's all about profitability, where you can quickly go in, plan, shoot, edit, and deliver. And that's really one of the things that I wanted to mention here. And again, let's see how everything turns out.